People of Reddit, what was the most stupid thing a teacher ever said? 7th grade, my science teacher had a baby, so we had a substitute for the last 8 weeks of school. It was supposed to be our space segment. The substitute ignored the lesson plan and taught us about astrology. But I got sent to the principal for arguing with her after she said Saturn was the largest thing in the universe. Somebody asked, "Did you mean the solar system?" And she said that meant the same thing. I then had the audacity to tell her that Saturn wasn't the largest thing in the solar system, the sun was way bigger. She doubled down and said it is the largest planet. I again tried to correct her that Jupiter was, in fact, much larger than Saturn. She lost her temper and told me to stop talking back to her and to go to the principal. The principal was actually reasonable. When he asked why I was there, I told Miss Johnson that Jupiter is bigger than Saturn. We had a different substitute the next day. I think I may have gotten that lady fired. I'd wager that with that attitude, she fired herself. My 8th grade English teacher tried to convince me that the sun wasn't a star. That's so weird, because my 8th grade English teacher tried to convince us we were all stars. God put dinosaur bones in the ground to confuse scientists, and God probably made him a teacher to confuse his students. Giving head with braces is not easy. 6th grade teacher teaching real life skills. In college, I had a professor critique my writing and say this makes no sense. No man would abandon a woman they got pregnant. Oh, you sweet summer child. Ounces and grams are the same thing. And while 1 inch is not the same as 1 centimeter, they catch up at 1 meter, which is both 100 inches and 100 centimeters and 1 yard. That's some science right there. 6th grade teacher asked me in front of the class if redheads have red hair on other parts of their body too. After that, everyone called me fire crotch. Now I've only recently had training in this, but I'm fairly certain that's sexual harassment. My religion teacher told us babies sin every time they cry because they are being selfish and want attention. I heard that before. It's a really lazy way of explaining no one is without sin. A professor in college, audiobooks are cheating, even if you have a disability. F you. Sir, I'm blind. You're a goddamn cheater is what you are. Well, I studied in Catholic school, so a lot of the sex ed that we got was basically condoms never work, pills never work, pulling out never works. If you have sex, you will get pregnant. I also had a math teacher that solved an equation that resulted in -0. That was a fun day. Same on the Catholic sex edition. Ours actually told us that natural family planning, the tempo method, or doing it, I think, shortly after the period, was the safest way and actually got approved. But in reality, it's pretty unreliable, especially for teenagers, and so it kinda seems like bad advice that would stick a lot of Catholic girls with babies that they'd then be forced to keep. I had French teacher sophomore year of high school try to convince the class that WWII didn't really happen. What? If I have understood that correctly, they are denying a war in which their own country was taken over. What is wrong with some people? Antisemitism ended in the 1300s. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure the Holocaust is a myth? Apparently. I once had a professor go on a 20-minute rant about how qualified he was to teach the class right before the final exam. Qualified, however, does not equal competent. The man was the worst instructor I've ever had, and that's coming from someone that attended the rural Mississippi public schools in the 80s. Pro tip, if you enter a new class and the teacher starts giving their qualifications and says if you fail, that's on you. Leave and drop the class if it's not required for your major and you can't take it with anyone else. You will have a huge uphill battle. In my case, it was a teacher with an accent so heavy she might as well have been speaking a foreign language. A teacher called me a socialist because I said, being born in America doesn't make you better, you socialist. It was my 9th grade science teacher, who is pretty nice in general. It happened right after the unit test for chemistry, and I was excited to see my results because I had been getting A's through the whole unit. Everyone was sitting in the class, talking with friends, because the teacher was late 10ish minutes into class, and she comes in. Most people thought it would be a nice day until she announced, "I have your results for the test, and I'm very disappointed in all of you." We were all confused, and were looking up at her to see what she would say next. She followed up with at least half of the class failed, with the highest mark being a 2+, about a 54. Now, I was worried, because I obviously didn't want to have a big dent in my grade. Now one student decided to speak up, and asked her, "If most of us failed, isn't it your fault for not teaching us?" In which the teacher replied with, "No, it's your study habits." I ended up passing the class in the end, but these things made it so half of the class had to redo grade 9 science. I have a teacher again this year, and hope nothing like this will happen again. That's absolutely ridiculous. I was in a yearly CPR class that an EMT was teaching. When it came to hands-on training, I was pumping the dummy's chest hard enough for it to click. The EMT told me I was breaking the dummy. "You hear that click? It's breaking." He argued with all the healthcare providers in the class, who explained the click is there to show you how hard you actually have to pump someone's chest. He had supposedly been an EMT for 30 years. Nothing worse than an instructor who has been doing something for 20, 30 years. Likely been doing it wrong. I wonder how many people they kill, likely to have forgot most of what they originally learned. That she would accept her daughter being gay, but wouldn't accept if she wanted to marry a woman. I almost got expelled that day. I'd accept it, but not really is what she means. 4th grade, I asked the teacher how to spell coyote. He said look it up. I said I can't. If IDK how to spell it. He then said start with psi. I know this too well. My parents figured that making me look up every word I couldn't spell would be a great idea. Problem is I learned to read by doing Hooked on Phonics, and I could never figure out the second and third letters. Good luck looking up a word if you only know the first letter. I still get salty about this, and I'm 35. I'm actually a decent speller now, but it's a no thanks to this. The bell doesn't dismiss you. I do. Oh, and also the bell isn't for you, it's for me. Those teachers are so annoying. Why are you packing up? We still have 2 minutes, because my next class is on the other side of the school and I don't want to have to run. I'm not helping you with that other time. My teacher dropped a pen and told someone to pick it up. I had a weather and climate teacher in college who said as an off-the-cuff comment that she didn't believe in climate change because weathermen can't predict the weather more than a few days in advance. This was, of course, the day after she told us that weather and climate were different, and that anyone who compares the two have no idea what they are talking about. Did the air conditioner run out of battery? My ed teacher has living in 2030. People who don't have science-related jobs are usually less successful in life. That was said by my math teacher in grade 11. In an undergraduate level politics class, taught by a lobbyist, you know, those things, the things that were in place before the Constitution. Me, the Articles of Confederation. Backquote no, that wasn't until the Civil War. I'm constantly amazed at the amount of adults in America who have no idea what the Articles of Confederation is. Math teacher said there are no negative numbers. All numbers are very cheerful. I can't read what she's written because it was done on a computer. It happened just now in my class. Our professor dumped a 10+ hour homework assignment on us during midterms. Most homework assignments in this class are designed to be 2-hour time commitments maximum. So obviously today all the students are pissed and sleep deprived from getting it done last night. The professor started getting mad at us for struggling so much and started getting onto the class for daring to send her emails yesterday. Apparently a party she was attending out of town was much more important than her job. I had a British literature teacher assign us 3 huge books as a reading assignment, and then quizzed us about sublet references made in the books. Not the actual subject matter, but mere allusions made. Only 2 days later, I wrote stop being a sadistic tart on my quiz, and turned it in. She wrote see me after class about your attempts at humor, and give it a 0. I came in the next class ready to throw down, and she basically broke down to the class and admitted that there was no way we could possibly process that much information in 2 days, and apologized to us. Equals. During a 3rd grade earthquake drill, my teacher told us to go under our desks, get into the fetal position and fold our fingers and place them behind our heads. She said if anything happens to our fingers it would be fine, because they can grow back. She really thought they will do that. Or had a teacher that claimed the Holocaust never happened. She didn't come back the next year. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything, even be invisible. A social studies teacher claimed that slavery wasn't that bad. She was surprised that they have phones in India, and compared racial discrimination to sibling rivalry. Sibling rivalry can get pretty effing brutal, so I guess it can be compared. My friend's friend is a teacher. She heard that I was an engineer, so she sent me a really basic math trig problem because she wanted to know how to teach the material. First off, I was effing outraged that a teacher didn't know this basic shit. So then I show her the math for how to solve for x. I write up a whole page explaining the logic math in very simple terms so that she'd have a handout that she could give the kids. She says that looks complicated. I'm just going to tell them to plug in each possible answer on the multiple choice to see which one is right. I'm still effing mad about this. Holy shit, the epic battle royale I had with my kid's math teacher. I have a BA mathematics and an manuscript in applied mathematics. I would actually say not so much a battle as me disproving every non-trivial technical assertion she made and then showing mine to be correct. I then, using the material on the test in question, quizzed her. She got a 0. I then demanded that she be fired and that my kid be moved to another teacher who had their shit together. I then found out there was a similar scene with her the year before. The dad is a math PhD cryptographer at NSA and went similarly apeshit on her. Black holes are just a mathematical concept, but they don't exist in reality. It was over 10 years ago though, so yeah. This was coming from a physics teacher. Honestly, black holes are such a scary thing, and the fact that they are sharing the universe with us is terrifying. I wish they weren't real too, haha. Everything my edit professor ever said, Bruh couldn't even pronounce plagiarize, so it made me think he plagiarized his own PowerPoint. My substitute history teacher told the class and insisted butter wasn't invented until WW2. They're probably thinking of margarine, which largely arose during World War II due to its long shelf life and stability at room temperature. Science teacher saying that green eyes don't exist, only blue and brown. I heard a history teacher say that ISIS did 9/11. She is one ticked off Egyptian god to have done that. That I wouldn't go to college since my math grade was low. I made a 67 in 6th grade. I have a bachelor degree in Russian and Eastern languages. I had dyscalculia. What a dumbass. English is my second language. My English teacher once said, if you not yet had made your homework then you can make it today. Also, she once wondered why the e-bike is pronounced like the English e. In German an e-bike is just an e-bike. Why would we pronounce it like it was a German word? Speaking from personal experience, native German speakers who teach English can be really the worst and cringy to listen to. I didn't know there was a difference between fire and heat. Depends on what you are calling fire. Is it the light produced? Isn't the actual flame produced by superheated oxygen? Don't forget to like this video and follow this channel to hear more Redditception.